Bellerin! Hector Bellerin!
In by Mustafi. Bellerin! Brilliant! 2-2!
Hector Bellerin, Hector Bellerin. That's a song.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We missed you. We missed football. We missed Arsenal football. The international break, thank goodness, is over. No major injuries to report, but a lot of Arsenal news has popped up in recent days. So welcome. We all welcome you to the latest edition of Saved by the Bellerin, the Arsenal football video podcast here on the Sports Talk Line Network. I'm Raphael, joined by my English compatriots, Ryan, to my immediate left. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, mate. Hope you're doing well.
I am very good. Anticipating some good football. And right below me on your screen is Sam. Welcome back, Sam.
Hello, mate. Always good to be here, as always.
All right, and welcome all of you who are filling our viewing room. Okay, let's jump into it. Some interesting, unexpected news breaking today. Sam, I'm going to start with you. Willian has got himself into a bit of a pickle with the squad. Word breaking that he went to Dubai over the break and was not certain. Doesn't seem that was an approved move, and it may have put his training situation in peril.
Yeah, as you say, he's been over to Dubai. Apparently, he went to that salt-based restaurant over there. But the club are looking into whether or not it was for educational purposes. What educational purposes, I honestly do not know. But in terms of his squad position, it's really got to be questioned now because he hasn't been producing on the pitch. Noted that he's done a couple of interviews over the last couple of weeks to say that Arteta is going to be one of the best managers in the world, but ultimately he isn't performing on the pitch, and now he's got to take a COVID test to see whether he's able to train this week. So,
okay, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to go and I'm going to tip the same one to Ryan. But last year, left backs just started dropping like flies, and we looked up at some point in the post-COVID break and we thought, dear God, there were no left backs. Turned out to be one of these cosmic blessings where the club learned that it had this young, productive player in Bukayo Saka was kind of thrown in, and he swam. He didn't sink, and he actually helped to keep the club afloat. Might this be one of those strange blessings in disguise? We were talking about this going into the break. The manager's stubborn, and we kept saying, "Why is Pepe not out there? Why does he keep running? Why does he keep keeping? Why does he keep showing faith in Willian?" His hand might be played here. This is for you, Sam. Just to finish this up. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Yeah, I definitely think it's time for Pepe to start now. He's been producing more than what Willian has. Pepe, as we've said on the show before, that he needs a consistent run of games, and he needs to have that consistent minutes on the field. And when I say consistent minutes on the field, it's not being substituted off either. He needs to be able to complete 90 minutes. Consecutive games. I know there's a lot of games coming up, but ultimately he needs to be playing in there so he can get his rhythm because at the moment we're seeing glimpses of what he can do, but I think if he gets consistency in his minutes, then we're going to see a lot more from Nicola Pepe. And also, just to factor in on that, he needs to have a regular partner behind him and not have the fullback changing every 2 seconds.
All right, something we'll revisit in a moment. Okay, Ryan, let's bring you in. I know I'm going to give you a tasty topic to attack. Another story breaking today, actually maybe late yesterday, that Arsenal have apparently proposed a swap deal with Inter Milan that would send Granit Xhaka to Italy and bring Christian Eriksen, the former Spurs player, to London, but this time to the red and white part of London. How do you assess that move? Is it legit rumor in your opinion? And if it is, would you accept it?
It's a very interesting rumor because, of course, Eriksen does solve an issue that we currently have, and that's the lack of creativity in the middle of the pitch. losing Xhaka's leadership and leadership role in the dressing room might be detrimental. But if Arteta is looking more for the mobile midfield that we all assume he is, Xhaka really doesn't fit because he's not mobile enough. Yes, he's very good on the ball and he has an unbelievable passing range, but he does have that knack of getting caught on the counter, getting caught in possession with his back to play, and he's just not quick enough. He's not press resistant is the word I'm looking for. And yeah, it's a strange one. The place that side reporting it, they don't have the best credibility, but they're also not one of the worst ones. So we could probably look at it and keep an eye on it, but I wouldn't call it gospel at the moment, because one of Inter Milan's top people, I can't remember his name, but he come out and said if this is the way it's going with Eriksen, we might have to exchange him in winter. And Eriksen did say on international break that he's looking to leave because it's not what he thought it was going to Inter Milan. But overall, I'm in two minds about it, because if Eriksen can bring the form he did when he was at Spurs, and he was the big game changer at Spurs, then I'm all for it. But if he's going to play like he has done in spells at Inter Milan, then I probably would rather keep Granit Xhaka and try and sell him in the summer if we are open to offers for him.
Same question, Sam. Is this a matter just of expediency, that this is maybe the quickest route to getting that attacking mid sorted? Because this sounds like if it happens, it's something that would happen pretty quickly in January. I mean, it's what we've been hearing going into the international break and through the international break was Arsenal are really putting their eggs in the summer basket. And I think that's disappointing for a lot of fans who see looks like the league is wide open. Liverpool's having huge injury problems on their back line. None of the other clubs have really taken off and run so far, as we saw, Chelsea a few years ago under Conte, where they made that really hot run at the end of the calendar year and came from the middle of the pack to the top. Nobody's really broken out like that yet. So it seems like the fans are restless. Is this something that would kind of satisfy them? And would it satisfy you?
It would satisfy me if he comes in and performs as he did at Spurs. But I think for me, with Christian Eriksen, it strikes me as a bit of a plan B, maybe a plan C move, because I know that we're trying to put our plans in place for the summer, but obviously a lot depends on the results between now and January, I feel. I think that if results don't go our way, then we'll definitely be looking at getting that creative spark in that January window. I still think it's going to be Dominic or Houssem Aouar would be the main two to be the first through the door. But if we're not able to bring them in January, I probably think that Eriksen would be suitable. He could potentially give us four years of decent football. It's just a case now of the management looking at it and seeing where they want to go, because ultimately you want to plan for the future and have a squad for the future, or are we going to keep in this short-term mentality of constantly refreshing one or two players through the squad every 2-3 years?
All right, gentlemen, same thing from a tactical perspective, though. Let's say the swap goes off. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? On these shows, we play the devil's advocate. Let's say Xhaka goes and Eriksen comes in. Ryan, does this let Arsenal go to that 4-3-3 that we've been kind of contemplating, or does that give Mikel other options, in your opinion?
I think if the swap goes through, I think we'll probably go to a 4-2-3-1 with Eriksen as the main attacking midfielder, with, I hope, Saka or Pepe on either side, and then obviously Ceballos or whoever next to Partey as the double pivot in the midfield. But yeah, I think Eriksen could play as a fluid number 8 as well. I do think he can play that role. He played it a few times for Spurs under Pochettino. So I do think he could play 4-3-3 as well with Eriksen, because then you have the attacking option in that 3, as well as having your attacking fullbacks. So, yeah, I think if we signed Eriksen and Xhaka we'd definitely be open to a back 4 formation, because we'd have that extra dynamic running and mobility in the middle of the pitch.
Any differences that you see, Sam? Where would he play if he joined Arsenal in January?
As Ryan said, I think that it will change to a 4 at the back. I think in the 4-3-3 he'd be more of a roaming playmaker, so he wouldn't technically be stuck to left centre mid or right centre mid. He would be floating across the pitch. In terms of if we're playing a 4-2-3-1, again in that number 10 position, but again roaming and coming back with instruction if we're defending. But I think that if he does sign it, definitely allows us to go a bit more on the front foot, because it offers us that more creativity that we've been lacking. And I think with him potentially coming, we would be able to play a more expansive game, because we will be having midfielders that are able to get up and down the pitch and have that dynamic running. That's something that we really miss. I think we're trying to come away from becoming a real passing team. We're trying to do a bit of both, have the hard runners and also have that fluid passing to enable us to get ourselves into better positions.
All right, I'm going to stay with you, Sam. So we're going to pivot it. As you talked about it, we went to 4 at the back. Who's the partner for Gabriel in the center then? Is there going to be David Luiz? Is this a better fit for Rob Holding? He's not so exposed as he has been against some of the stronger clubs in a 3 at the back. How would they line up?
I think it has to be David Luiz, to be perfectly honest, next to him. Because I know he's got a mistake in him, but he's got that experience to be able to drive the team forward, and also his passing range from the back line is absolutely phenomenal. So I think David Luiz gives us a lot more than what Rob Holding does, and ideally I want to say William Saliba would be the centre back partner, but I don't think that's going to happen till maybe later in the year or potentially next season. But I think in terms of William Saliba, a lot of it depends on what happens in the January window and who goes.
All right. So Ryan, do you see any other tonics? I mean, would that improve us to go 4 in the back? I mean, I'm gonna get to a topic you've raised in a moment, but just very quickly to kind of sum up. Would going 4 at the back help the defensive performances? Arsenal, we forget. I mean, I think it's that Aston Villa match left a real bad taste in everybody's mouth. But Arsenal was leading the league in goals allowed until they walked on the pitch for that match. So I'm hoping we can treat it all as a one-off. I think all of us do. But would this still improve the performances of the defense going forward at the back, in your opinion?
Yeah, because the saying is the best form of defense is attack. If you suppress the opposition, if we make them run after the ball, we keep the ball as much as possible, we press them high up the pitch, we don't need to have 5 defenders at the back all the time. If we press high with our attacking players, our attacking midfielders, and then win the ball back instantly, we're behind the lines, we're behind the defence, and we're attacking them more than they're attacking us. So we don't need that many defensive players on the pitch, especially at home, because that does grind my gears a little bit when I watch Arsenal. We're playing 3 central defenders, 2 wing backs, 2 defensive midfielders. So we need to be going at teams' necks at home, because that's our stadium, that's our fortress. We need to just absolutely slap every team that comes to the Emirates, and I don't think a 5 at the back formation helps us do that. So 4 at the back, definitely helps us defensively and attacking, in my opinion.
All right, Sam, I'm going to actually steal one of Ryan's topics, but I'm going to let you have first crack at this, though. He was pointing out, and we've discussed this in a group, that in the late Arsene Wenger years, after I think Santi Cazorla went down, that one of the adjustments he made with some success was going to this same 3-4-3 formation, and Alexis Sanchez was playing on the left side in that cutting left kind of winger come attacker role that Aubameyang's playing now. Very similar, but looking at that, we know that really until January we're probably fated with 3-4-3 because given the roster that's on hand. How can he maximize it? Where are the best fits? Again, I think we're all chomping at the bit for change, but we also have to be realistic. That change isn't coming forward, at least in the next 6 weeks or so.
No, but the changes that we have got control over is putting Aubameyang through the middle, getting rid of Willian out of the team, Lacazette out of the team. I'd probably put Rob Holding on the bench for the foreseeable after his calamitous show at Villa. And I think the thing for me is right now is players taking responsibility for their on-field performances, and that's something that these guys need to really grasp and understand at the moment, because it seems that if a mistake's made, it's always pointing the finger at somebody else, saying that it should have been done elsewhere instead of dealing with your job. But ultimately, I think for the foreseeable, it's Aubameyang definitely through the middle, Willian out of the team, Pepe out on the wide right, and Saka on the wide left. The other question I would have is the centre of midfield, whether it be Xhaka or Ceballos, because I think they're very similar in terms of playing style. And also just in regards to formation, we can make a change in that aspect. But the question there is, do you show your limitations in centre of midfield and go for more expansive football, or stick with the rigid formation to make sure that we potentially don't concede, and to try and catch teams out on counter attack is a question as to what Arteta wants to do. But I think he should potentially, dependent on the opposition, show the limitations in midfield and play a bit more free-flowing football.
All right, Ryan, this is your baby. I'm gonna start you from the back and bring us forward. Obviously, the manager was not happy with, as Sam said, with the lack of accountability of the players on the pitch in that match. It seemed a lot of sagging heads, a lot of finger pointing, which is very disappointing. Now that he's had 2 weeks to calm down, to reassess, to work with whomever didn't go out on international break, how would you align them working from the back going forward, assuming we're staying with the 3-4-3?
If we're going with a 3-4-3, obviously Leno in goal, there's no doubt about that. Then the back three, I'm going to be controversial here. I want Saliba to play as soon as possible. I think, and if we're playing a back three where he's less exposed as he would be in a back four, play him next to David Luiz and Gabriel as a back three, and the two wing backs have Tierney and Bellerin, because I watched Tierney play for Scotland at left back and he was unbelievable going forward. So have him at left wing back. I would have Willock and Partey in midfield, because you have the hard running, you have the late runs into the box, you have the high press, the energy and the engine of both players. And then my front three would be obviously Pepe, Aubameyang and Saka. I think that team there has everything you need to play as a 3-4-3, because the one that Wenger had, the one I mentioned the other day, he had Alexis, Welbeck and Ozil up front. You had the runner in behind, you had the forward, the two creative forwards, which would be Saka and Pepe, and your number 9 who runs in behind would be Aubameyang. Then midfield he had, I think it was Ramsey, and I believe Xhaka, which then you have Partey and Willock, who are very similar type of players, and then you have your two wing backs who are very good going both ways. So I think that would probably be best suited to how we want to play at the moment.
All right. Bit of housekeeping news. We're going to change gears here. We're going to halfway through the pod. We've been teasing this for some time, but early in the week we rolled out our Patreon. It's kind of a value added for those of you who have been watching us, and of course this pod is free and will remain free. We love having our audience, and we're growing with you and doing specials. But we want to give you an opportunity to grow with us and get a little closer to the pod. So we want to introduce you to, we have our logo behind us, but we have a Patreon account number that would be flashing on the screen. And we have 2 tiers for it. We have what we call the Friends of Saved by the Bellerin. That's a £3 per month buy-in, and it gives you some extra values. We're going to be showing off later in this week some telestrators. These gentlemen have been working very hard on our telestrators, doing video breakdowns, formational breakdowns, things of that nature. And we'll be offering those to all of our followers. And then we have an upper tier that we call the Captain's Level, which will give you access to more live telestrator breakdowns. We're going to be doing live shows starting 15 minutes after the final whistle of every Arsenal match. You'll be able to join in and see us bring in, clips, bring in stills, give you in real time notion of what Arsenal did that worked and what they tried that didn't work so well. Give you while it's fresh in your mind, just a closer view. We also want to have an exclusive chat room just for members of this, and as an exclusive to you and as a thank you to you, everybody who joins us before the end of the month in that Captain's tier is entered automatically for a chance to win this wonderful thing. Pull it closer to me so you can see it. Doesn't fade in the background. This is a signed Kieran Tierney top. We've been featuring it on our Saved by the Bellerin Twitter page, and we will be reposting it there. But that's a get a chance to win something like this. I believe it sells for £300 on the team's website, or $450 if you're on my side of the Atlantic. Very small investment, very good numbers. I don't think you'll have a better chance of better present for yourself for this holidays. And again, it gets you a chance to get involved. Obviously, we like people who are in the chat right now throwing us questions as we speak live, but also gives you a chance to interact with us. And we also be talking about bringing in some exclusives. Twice a month, we will pull one of you who's in the Captain's Level, and you can take this 4th seat. You can see there's kind of an Arsenal logo in the lower corner below Ryan. Well, that seat could be yours. We want to bring in some of our fans. We had a lot of you join us on the live deadline day show, and that was a wonderful effect. And we got some great feedback from all of you on that. So we want to give more of you a chance to come in and join us. So again, look at the address that's there that we're flashing on the screen. It helps us grow. It helps us bring you better guests. It helps us make a better show. So again, I want to thank you for that. And again, be aware that we will be giving the Tierney shirt away after it's the Southampton match, which is December 15th. It was a month from now. So if you don't have to be present, but if you tune in for that, everybody who signs up for these tier for the Captain's tier is assigned a number, and then we'll get the random number generator going. We'll pull one and we'll announce, and that person will be lucky winner again of this signed Kieran Tierney top. As a thank you from all of us here at Saved by the Bellerin to all of you who have been so good to us the last 12 months. All right. There is a match coming up. Football is back. Football is back. And Arsenal gets back on the pitch this weekend, this Sunday, with Leeds United. Ryan, let's bring you back in. I'll have each of you kind of do a little breakdown. And let me just say that as a freebie this week to give you a view of what the telestrators look like, we'll do what we're going to discuss here. We'll break it down for you, and we'll make it available free to everybody so you can see what you would be getting if you signed up for our Captain's tier. But Leeds is coming, Leeds is coming to the Emirates, and lot of fanfare. They're back in the Prem after a long absence. They have a great manager, Marco Bielsa. His reputation precedes him. They got off to a hot start. They almost caught Liverpool that opening weekend. Very exciting match, 4-3. They've had a rocky start, as most new clubs that are coming up are doing. Let's talk about them, though. When they have the ball, they're a very dangerous club. What are some of the things that Marcelo Bielsa likes to do that's going to be challenging for Arsenal when they line up this weekend?
Yeah, I was at the Emirates for when they came in the FA Cup last season, and I was pleasantly surprised on how they play football. And it's very, very intricate. It's very deliberate, and it's actually really fun to watch. They press so high, they press so quickly and in groups that they suffocate the opposition. They win the ball back high. They don't let you breathe. And I think I watched the Leeds documentary on Amazon Prime. If no one has seen it, you need to go and watch it. It just gives a massive insight into Marcelo Bielsa and how he works. And just from watching that, I watched it for this game. He has detailed analysis on every single player that he plays against. So when we go to them at the weekend, he's gonna know every player and how they play. So he's gonna have every avenue covered. They're gonna press us high. They're gonna press. If we play Xhaka, they're going to press him so quickly he's not gonna be able to turn, and he will lose the ball in front of our defense. They're gonna press our centre backs. They're gonna allow our centre backs to have the ball, but not in dangerous positions. They're not going to let our wing backs get the ball. They're not going to let. If Aubameyang's on the left, he's going to be irrelevant. He's not even going to be in the game. They're going to outmark him completely. And we saw against Manchester City, they took Manchester City to I think it was the 80th minute when City equalised. That City are a very, very good side, as we know, and they match them toe to toe. So they're gonna give us a really hard game, and I'm quite excited to watch it because it's gonna be a great game for both sides. So they're gonna give us a hard one there.
All right, Sam, this taking that baton, he makes it sound like a real kind of fearsome challenge to get out of our own end when Leeds is pressing. But yet Leeds of late has been really, really leaky in the back. So if you're Mikel Arteta, how are you going to attack Marcelo Bielsa's squad? How do you get around that press? And how do you get the ball in a forward position where you can take advantage of their suddenly very shaky back line?
You really need to play quick passing football to get around this press. And with this as well, with the quick passing football, you really need to get yourself up the pitch very quick as well, because just to touch on a few of Leeds' other strengths is with their press. If they are bypassed in the first, Bielsa has them in training playing murder ball. For those that don't know what murder ball is, they play basically 2 11-side games, 2 90 minutes continuously. There'll be no breaks in play whatsoever. As soon as the ball goes out, a ball gets rolled in and they play straight away from there. So again, their stamina, strength, pressing abilities, their hard running is absolutely ridiculous. So in terms of bypassing the first press, if you don't do something with your quick passing football to get yourself up that pitch, you are again going to be pressed and pressed hard, but not from in front of you, but from behind you. So the best way to get around that is, again, I would probably say, if we're in a 3-4-3 in a rigid formation, when they're attacking, they don't really like 3-4-3s in a rigid position, because we see it with I think Man City played it and Leicester, and they had a real struggle against Leicester as well. And what Leicester done, they put Jamie Vardy on, I think his name's Robin Koch, their centre back, and he is their real weak link. I'm currently watching Spain v Germany, and he's featuring at the moment, and it is now 5-0 to Spain. So I think if we can put Aubameyang up against him, with Aubameyang's pace, he'll get away from Koch. There's no two ways about that. But in terms of other weaknesses with Leeds, there isn't many to pick from. You really have to try and get down the sides of them, and maybe having David Luiz back in the starting lineup at centre back. If we are getting pressed high, we all know his range of passing to get up and over Leeds to get Aubameyang free might be more beneficial than having Lacazette doing his dull games as per usual, coming deep to receive the ball, which then congests our midfield because the opposition's defence is pushing up higher. And yeah, we don't want them to compress the space in midfield, basically. We really need to have a bit of space so we can pick out them passes. So potentially, I think my midfield pairing, if we're in a 3-4-3, would be Thomas Partey and Dani Ceballos, and have Dani Ceballos a bit higher up on the half turn so we can play quickly into him, and so he can then on the half turn do a quick release into our strikers, and obviously just have Thomas as the powerhouse monster clearing everything up in the middle.
All right, Ryan, if we're going 3-4-3 again, it sounds what you both you gentlemen have said is reduce your vulnerable players. If we're looking at the back seven, as you said, Xhaka, if he was in the midfield, would be a very shaky piece. And Sam said he would have Dani Ceballos in his place instead. Looking at the back line, though, as we know, Rob Holding has had some trouble with the press. If you're going three at the back, who lines up? I mean, I would concur. David Luiz needs to be somewhere in there, but Gabriel is left-footed. I'm sure he's on the left. Who goes on the right, though? If you're a little concerned about Rob Holding, perhaps being the weak link, how do you line that up?
I mean, there's not much to choose from, really, is there? So it's either Rob Holding or Mustafi. Or
do you put Gabriel in the center and you move Luiz out to the side?
That's true. You could play Tierney at left centre back, Gabriel in the middle, and Luiz at right centre back. But just remembering, we have Callum Chambers back now, so maybe he could slot in at the right side of centre back because he has played right back. He's very good on the ball because he's played in midfield. He's pretty quick, so he might be able to slot seamlessly into that position there and take it from Holding. But I do believe Arteta will probably go with Rob Holding.
Okay. Do you anticipate any change? Who would you play with Partey in the center of the pitch?
If it's a 3-4-3, I'd go with Ceballos because he's very press resistant. He beat Liverpool's Gen pressing or whatever it's called, so he's pretty good at it. And he's from Spain, so you know they're all so good at beating the press. If we're going 4-3-3, I'd go Partey, Ceballos, and Willock because Willock as the man running into the box, late runs. I said this before. I've said it. I can't remember how many times I've said it, but he reminds me of Ramsey. Just the season before Ramsey exploded and scored them 15, 20 goals. Willock is at that stage now where he's making the right run at the right time, getting on the end of things, but not converting. You see, it's slowly clicking with him and his end product. A consistent run of games, I believe he's just going to explode and he's just going to score. And I think it's time for him now to play. And I don't think Arteta can ignore Ceballos or Partey. So I think you're going to have to go to a back four now.
And you would do it in this match, maybe?
Just because of Joe Willock.
Interesting. Sam, I know Ryan's been very bullish on him, but again, that's another play we've talked about. We've seen Saka. We really haven't seen Reece Nelson. We really haven't seen Joe Willock much this year. Is this the time? We know Arteta's being very deliberate with the kids, and he's said over and over and over again, he doesn't want to overplay them. He doesn't want to overexpose them. He doesn't want to break their confidence. But it seems Saka's made this step forward. It's time for another one of these kids to make the step forward, I would think. Yeah,
I believe so. And I think the next one to do so, barring Eddie and Nketiah, would be Willock. I think that he gives us a different option in the centre of the park. With the third man running, obviously, Lacazette doesn't tend to make the box nowadays when we're on a counter attack. So if we've got someone like Joe Willock that's able to steam into the box and make that run to the near post, that again gives us another option on the attack. I think that he's got a decent shot on him from outside of the box also. He's intricate. His passing's got a lot better over the past year, I believe. He's got that engine, gives us that more dynamic running in the middle of the park. He's very good at tracking back and making that challenge in midfield as well. I think that we definitely need his energy in the midfield, because if we go toe to toe with Leeds will, as I said, Leeds will outrun us, and we need energy if we're going to do that. But if we're going to be doing a rigid formation, I still think we need that energy going forward.
All right, and another thing you said, of all those accolades, all those qualities you pointed out about Joe Willock, I'll add he's really kind of fearless. I mean, once he gets near the box, he has no compunction. He'll shoot. He'll if he sees an opening, he'll take the ball. I think the strikers get a little frustrated with him, Ryan, that sometimes they're kind of pointing and say, "Hey, I'm open," but if Willock sees an opening, it's very Ramsey-esque, as you pointed out. I mean, if Aaron Ramsey got anywhere, even a half sliver of space around the box, he was going to shoot, and that is Joe Willock, at least that I see emerging, and that's a good thing in my opinion. I just wish he was a little more accurate with
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely, and it's only going to get better. The more he shoots, the more confidence he gets, the more he wants to try different things, the more he expresses himself. And the strikers are just going to have to understand that, because one way we don't want all of our goals falling on Aubameyang's shoulder. So we need other players to step up. Last season, it was Pepe scoring and assisting. If Pepe and Willock can get into the same team, as we saw in the Europa League, I know the standard of opposition isn't the greatest, but you have to beat what's in front of you. Willock and Pepe, they have some kind of understanding. Pepe assists for Willock, Willock assisted for Pepe. So it's like that Ramsey-Walcott kind of connection they had in 2014. If we can get that connection with them two, with Pepe's pace and his ability to go past the man, and Willock's third man running, as Sam pointed out, that connection from wing to centre, that could really be an avenue for us to open and score more goals, really.
And my goodness, this club needs it. All right, injury time of the pod. Sam, let's give us a prediction here. Is this the week Arsenal finally kind of opens up? We've been waiting all year for this.
If it's against any other team, I'd say yeah, but I'd absolutely love us to open up. Not against Leeds. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 rigid victory.
Ryan, what do you think?
I'm going to be slightly negative here. I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1 draw, and we're going to scrape it.
Okay, I'll top you guys. I'll trump you guys. I'll say 2-1. Again, scruffy. Nothing comes easy with this club. At least not this year. Even when they win, they're nervy, and this is going to be another nervy one. But I'm gonna give them the win. I'm gonna concede the goal, but I'm gonna say they get 2 this week. I think they're due. I think I hope they've been using this time to work on their attack. We're all waiting for it. We know at some point it's going to come. All right, we want to thank all of you out in video land, pod land, internet land who's joined us for this podcast. We really appreciate your support. Good to have you back. Good to have football back, Arsenal football back. Again, look for, they gave you a good breakdown of Leeds. We're going to do a telestrator version of that. We should have that available for you all Thursday. We will promote it on the Saved by the Bellerin Twitter account. If you're not following us there, it's at SBTB Pod on Twitter. So look for us there. Add us to your follows, and you can see our video breakdowns that will be appearing there. We'll also be offering more. We'll repost our Patreon addresses. And again, should remind you that enter if you want to help us out. Enter in the captain's tier, and you get entered in the drawing for the signed Kieran Tierney top that we will give away in roughly a month's time. So again, on that optimistic note, again, we look forward to Sunday. I think we look forward to a good result. For now, for Ryan, for Sam, I'm Raphael. So we say thank you and good night.